All right, everybody. It's November 16th, 2025. And yeah, the whole family's in on this one. We decided to do a bracket. So a couple weeks ago, Randy and I kind of shot songs out and said, which one do you like better? And then we decided to do a little bit more organized. Now, this was kind of inspired by a guy named Waylon who does brackets on the Almost Human channel. So big shout out to Waylon, king of the brackets. Thank you. I don't know if Megan's ever been in any of our videos before, so Megan's here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with, I'll say what two songs are going against each other, and we'll go around and say which one we chose. One thing to keep in mind before you guys start going crazy in the comments, remember the girls only know so much of this music, so don't, start saying, oh, why didn't you use other songs? Why didn't you use more deep tracks? We'll eventually get there. Okay, so our first showdown was between Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You, and Bon Jovi, Born to Be My Baby. I chose Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You. Madison, who'd you choose?
Born to Be My Baby.
I Was Made for Loving You.
I Was Made for Loving You.
All right, so Kiss pretty much swept on that one with everybody. The next one was Snowblind by Black Sabbath versus Wasted Years. I, of course, went with Snowblind.
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 Snowblind was a sweep in this one. The next two against each other were Last in Line versus Mr. Crowley. This was tough. Mr. Crowley won it out by a hair. I had to think about that one.
Last in Line.
I also had to think about that one, but Last in Line.
I didn't have to think. Mr. Crowley.
Okay.
I didn't have to think.
The next two against each other were Poison by Alice Cooper and Love Gun. Surprisingly, I chose Poison by Alice Cooper.
I chose Love Gun.
Poison.
Love Gun.
Wow, 2 for 2.
Next two are Dude Looks Like a Lady versus Stone Cold by Rainbow. I went with Stone Cold by Rainbow.
I chose Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold.
I'm agreeing with my husband.
Oh, God. Next two were Supernaut by Sabbath, of course, and Livewire by Motley Crue. Supernaut was an easy win for me.
Livewire.
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 Something wrong with these three.
I think something's wrong with you.
Yeah, I got married.
Ta-da.
The next two
Don't
are...
do it.
The next two are Round and Round by Rat and Run to the Hills by Maiden. Run to the Hills for me.
Round and Round.
Run to the hills.
Run to the hill.
I'm wrong.
No,
Madison said round and
round.
round. Mommy said Run to the Hills.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And what'd you say, Randy, on that one?
Run to the hills.
Okay. And then to finish up the 16 song bracket for phase one, Photograph by Def Leppard versus Aces High. I went Aces High.
I won't photograph.
Aces High.
Aces High.
Okay, so now we're into the next tier. So I had I Was Made for Loving You versus Snowblind. And in that battle, Snowblind wins.
I had Born to Be My Baby versus Snowblind, and Born to Be My Baby won.
I had I Was Made for Loving You and Snowblind won.
I had I Was Made for Loving You and Snowblind, and I Was Made for Loving You one.
Something wrong with them.
Okay. The next breakdown, I had Mr. Crowley versus Poison by Alice Cooper, and Mr. Crowley won.
I had Last in Line versus Love Gun, and Love Gun won.
I had Last in Line versus Poison, and Last in Line won.
I had Mr. Crowley and Love Gun won.
Okay, the next one, I had Stone Cold versus Supernaut, and of course Supernaut wins that one.
I had Dude Looks Like a Lady in Livewire, and Livewire won.
I had Stone Cold and Livewire won.
I had Stone Cold and Livewire, and Livewire won too.
The last one for me, I had Run to the Hills versus Aces High, a maiden showdown. Aces High wins that one.
I agreed with him again.
I had Round and Round versus Photograph, and Photograph won.
I had Run to the Hills and Aces High, like my husband, and Aces High won.
Marriage.
I had Run to the Hills and Aces High, and Run to the Hills won.
Wow.
All right, semifinals here for this bracket. Mine was Snowblind versus Mr. Crowley. Sabbath versus Ozzy. Sabbath pulls it off. Snowblind for me.
I had Born to Be My Baby versus Love Gun and Born to Be My Baby.
This
won.
is disappointing, Maddie.
I had Snowblind versus Last in Line, and Last in Line won.
I was made for loving you, and Run to the Hills, and I was made for loving you won.
All right. The next one is next semifinals was Supernaut for me versus Aces High, and Supernaut won.
Oh.
I had Livewire and Photograph, and Livewire won.
I had Livewire and Aces High, and Livewire won.
I had Livewire and Run to the Hills, and Run to the Hills won.
Okay, so now this is the finals for this bracket. It's for me. It's a Sabbath showdown. Snowblind versus Supernaut, and Snowblind pulls this one off, winning this bracket.
I had Born to Be My Baby versus Livewire, and Born to Be My Baby won.
You were adopted. No. I had Last in Line versus Livewire, Rainbow versus Motley Crue. Livewire won.
I had I was made for loving you, and Run to the Hills, and I was made for loving you won.
It's not Rainbow, it's Dio, isn't it?
All right, so that's bracket one. So now we have a second bracket
I said that.
to see who wins it all. Okay, again, it's 16 songs. And Maddie, make sure you're talking a little bit louder, okay?
I want to start.
No, I'm going to start. And the Bon Jovi songs are for the girls, so... I started off with Living on a Prayer versus Over the Mountain. I mean, who even needs to ask? Over the Mountain, of course, wins.
Unless you're Madison.
I chose Living on a Prayer.
Over the Mountain.
Over the Mountain.
Madison, getting you a CAT scan. The next two are We're Not Gonna Take It versus Man Behind the Mask by Alice Cooper. I love that song, man. Man Behind the Mask wins.
Also Man Behind the Mask.
Man Behind the Mask.
Man Behind the Mask.
All right, next one is Rock and Roll Children versus Let's Put the X in the Sex, and Let's Put the X in Sex wins for me.
I also had Let's Put the X in the Sex.
I chose Rock and Roll Children.
Let's put the X in sex.
All right, Piece of Your Action by Motley Crue versus It's My Life by Bon Jovi. I'm going with It's My Life. I do love that song.
I chose Piece of Your Action.
I chose Piece of Your Action.
I chose It's My Life.
Okay, put your hand down from your mouth, Randy. You gotta make sure people hear you. Okay, the next two are Rainbow in the Dark versus The Trooper. This was tough for me, but The Trooper pulls it off.
I also chose The Trooper.
That was a tough one, but I also chose The Trooper.
I chose Rainbow in the Dark.
Okay, then Let Me Hear You Scream versus Looks That Kill. Again, a little bit of a tough one for me, but Let Me Hear You Scream wins that one.
I also chose Let Me Hear You Scream.
I chose Looks That Kill.
I chose Let Me Hear You Scream.
All right, then we go to Man on the Silver Mountain versus Dance by Rat. Man on the Silver Mountain wins it for me.
I chose Dance.
Man on the Silver Mountain was also my pick.
Man on the Silver Mountain.
Last two, Metal Health by Quiet Riot and Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow. And I go with Since You've Been Gone.
I chose Metal Health.
I chose Metal Health.
I chose Since You've Been Gone.
Okay. And again, this next one, since we all have different things, we'll have to remind people what songs we chose. But this next tier of the bracket is Over the Mountain versus Man Behind the Mask. And no brainer for me, Over the Mountain wins that one.
Mine was Man Behind the... Wait. Living on a Prayer versus Man Behind the Mask, and Man Behind the Mask won.
I had Over the Mountain versus Man Behind the Mask, and Man Behind the Mask won.
I had Over the Mountain and Man Behind the Mask, and Man Behind the Mask won.
For me, it was that song because of the girls' reenactment on the treadmill back when they were kids.
That was cute. Maddie, talk a little louder, though, because your voice level is pretty low. The next one, I had Let's Put the X in Sex versus It's My Life. And believe it or not, Bon Jovi pulls that one off. It's My Life wins for me.
I had Let's Put the X in Sex and Piece of Your Action and Let's Put the X in Sex 1.
I had Rock and Roll Children and Piece of Your Action and Rock and Roll Children 1.
I had Let's Put the X in Sex and It's My Life and Let's Put the X in Sex 1.
Okay, the next one is The Trooper. For me, The Trooper versus Let Me Hear You Scream. This is a tough one, man. I love both those songs, but I really like Let Me Hear You Scream. That one won that one.
I had The Trooper and Let Me Hear You Scream as well, and Let Me Hear You Scream 1.
I had The Trooper and Looks That Kill and Looks That Kill 1.
I had Rainbow in the Dark and Let Me Hear You Scream and Let Me Hear You Scream 1.
Okay. Last one in this phase, Man on a Silver Mountain for me went up against Since You've Been Gone. So Rainbow versus Rainbow. And sadly, Dio did not win. I like Since You've Been Gone better.
I had Dance versus Metal Health, and Metal Health 1.
I had Man on a Silver Mountain versus Metal Health and Man on a Silver Mountain 1.
I had Man on a Silver Mountain and Since You've Been Gone and Since You've Been Gone 1.
All right, semifinals. I can't believe this made it all the way to the semifinals. Over the Mountain versus It's My Life. You'd have to throw me off a cliff if I picked It's My Life. Over the Mountain, of course, wins.
I had Man Behind the Mask and Let's Put the X in Sex and Let's Put the X in Sex 1.
I had Man Behind the Mask and Rock and Roll Children and Man Behind the Mask 1.
I had Man Behind the Mask and Let's Put the X in Sex and Man Behind the Mask 1.
All right, next one for the semifinals. Let Me Hear You Scream versus Since You've Been Gone, and it is winner of Let Me Hear You Scream for me.
I had Let Me Hear You Scream versus Metal Health and Let Me Hear You Scream 1.
I had Looks That Kill versus Man on a Silver Mountain and Looks That Kill 1.
I had Let Me Hear You Scream and Since You've Been Gone and Let Me Hear You Scream 1.
All right, so the winner for this bracket for me, between Over the Mountain and Let Me Hear You Scream, Ozzy versus Ozzy, but Over the Mountain. Come on, Randy's going to win this one. Over the Mountain wins.
I had Let's Put the X in Sex and Let Me Hear You Scream and Let's Put the X in Sex 1.
I had Man Behind the Mask, which made it very far, to Looks That Kill and Looks That Kill 1.
I had Man Behind the Mask and Let Me Hear You Scream and Man Behind the Mask 1.
All right, so now between the two brackets, it was an Ozzy showdown in Sabbath with Snowblind versus Blizzard of Oz Band with Over the Mountain. And man, I mean, she's named after Randy Rhoads, but Snowblind pulls it off. Snowblind won this bracket for me, man.
I had Let's Put the X in Sex versus Born to Be My Baby and Let's Put the X in Sex 1.
I don't know.
I had Livewire and Looks That Kill and Motley
Crew battle.
Yep, and Livewire is my favorite, so it won.
I had Man Behind the Mask and I Was Made for Loving You, and I originally put I Was Made for Loving You 1, but I want to change it to Man Behind the Mask. So Man Behind the Mask wins.
All right.
Alrighty.
So that's the first.
Did we all have different top tiers?
I think so. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think absolutely so. So that was fun. Again, this. Thank you, Waylon, for the inspiration. Waylon, who does donation on that Almost Human channel done by Great Ralph. We'll do more of these brackets. This was pretty fun. So remember to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Madison's going to have the X and the Instagram going by the time I press stop on this video. It'll be done just like that. Don't.
Retirement's looking good.
All right. See ya.